Well, as promised, here we are back. Well, we are hopefully back for the third match in today's trilogy, and this is going to be the top match of the evening between Fantastic Mr. Fox and Bedhead. And the room's just gone up, but prior to Bedhead arriving, Fantastic Mr. Fox has decided he's got a problem with his internet and he's about to be disconnected, and has been talking about trying to rearrange the match. He can try playing it, but he's going to get disconnected. He seems to think he has a problem. So this may or may not go ahead. I don't know what's happening. Nobody's in the room yet. It's a second round match, race to 14, and we wait to see what's going to happen. So your guess is as good as mine, guys. I've had my cup of coffee. I'm semi-conscious, and we don't know what's going to happen. I presume he's talking to Bedhead and PM. But he still hasn't been disconnected yet. Well, I would have been in bed an hour ago if it hadn't been for this. But I don't need to get up for work tomorrow, so it doesn't matter. Well, there's still no one in the room, so they've got 10 minutes for either of them to get in there, so this might be quite a short stream. I don't know why they haven't gone in and got started anyway, at least. So we wait and see. Well, from what I can gather, they ain't going to play. I mean, if the worst comes to the worst, and he does get disconnected for whatever reason and can't get back in, then it will time out. Bedhead will be advanced. Then it's up to them to talk to Tin. Right, let's see what happens. I'm going in, and they're both going to lag off. Still no queue on the other side, and I presume that is Mr. Fox's queue. Right, Stub, you've said your piece. See you later. I mean, if that was me and I was getting problems like that all day, I'd be on to BT. I'd be straight on the phone to them. Anyway, we are underway for however long this might last, but there's been a ball in the break. Good evening and welcome everybody, whoever's there or whoever's rejoined us. Good evening, Bill. All set for the big one tomorrow. Because Albinario is back in VP4 to make a statement, I think. So the bank has been called. Now, did they call it up and down or did they call it straight? Yes, it's a missed call. Well, there is a chance for Mr. Fox, but he's going to have to do something to break out that 6. If he'd got there, Bedhead will be the one with that chance. Now, let's have a look. If he finished here, at best he'll have a billiard. If he finishes there, he could play the combo onto the 8. Now, if he can chip enough angle into this 5 ball, he can spin it across and try and break out. It might not be worth his while doing it though. He might be better trying to get into the table to leave the combo, because there is that 6-8 combo. Well, he's trying to get around. He's actually made it worse, or has he? The billiard is on. It may well go in off the 8. Well, he's calling the 8, but I think well, he's got enough room to just get past the 9, but I don't know why he's not looking at the billiard. With the 9 possibly going in off the 8, that makes the pocket a bit bigger. He's called the 8, but not interested in the billiard to the 9, and the 9 off the jaw into the 8 and into the pocket. I'm not so sure that was the right shot, because there wasn't much room, and well, I still think you'd have given yourself a better margin of error playing the billiard onto the 9, but we'll never know. But Mr. Fox has been reprieved. He's still not been disconnected, and he hasn't got to the 8. Now, he could play the safety, try and tuck behind the 9, because there's a perfectly reasonable enough shot on there to do it. It's all or nothing if he's going for the cut, or he could be going for the bank up and down. We've not had a pocket called yet if it's the bank, so it's more than likely going to be the cut. And he needs to stay out from behind that 10, and of course he's found it, and now it's the old kick and hope. Well, Bedhead should be able to get this cut back. and basically anywhere on the table he'll have some sort of shot to get this first rack over. Played it dead weight. Well, this is almost similar, although it's a bit further away, but a similar shot to what Cobra had, and Cobra couldn't get it in the hole. But Bedhead's done it, and he's off and running. Three ball in the hole. Now, is there enough of the one showing to get the cut angle? I think there is. He's going to scratch. So Mr. Fox has ball in hand. Well, there is a bit of a problem here, possibly in the making, in getting from the 5 to the 6. I mean, the 6 is open to lots of pockets, but he's got to get down from that 4 onto the 5 in such a way that he can get to the 6, and it's so easy for this to go wrong. Well, it's going to be the long 5 and straight through, I would think. Well, he's leaving it long. Now, this is the problem with this 7 ball. If he can get it gentle enough, he can hold for it. I think he's okay. That was always going to be the slight trouble, but he's managed to handle it well. Now the standard, as I say, when it goes up, when you have 2 stronger players, and these are no doubt are stronger than the 2 matches we've seen today, you expect that higher standard. You expect players to run out given that opportunity. Where's the cue ball going? Well, that is the poorest shot of the day. That should be on the highlight reel. You should never be doing that. It should always be in the back of your mind to let that cue ball run near a pocket, and that is a total gift and a half for Bedhead. 10 ball goes in the break, 6 ball goes in, 10 ball comes up, and well, Bedhead could fancy the cut down the rail, but he's going to have no shot anyway, so there might be no value in it. He can bank this 2 down between the 9 and the 10 and get that cue ball back into the middle of the table in the kitchen and look for cover. That would be the shot, because there's absolutely no value in trying to make this pot in the 1. He's not going to get in the 2 and he'll have no shot. So rather than, well, he's actually given Mr. Fox the opportunity to play something similar if he wants to. Bedhead deciding to push. Mr. Fox has went for the 1, but of course, you know, he's nudged into the 2, but there's no change, and now he's the one with the problem of getting this safe. Well, he's called the top left hand corner pocket, but I think he's really looking to, and he's decided against it. Now the safety, which is probably the right thing to do. And that will do. But it's 2-0 to Bedhead, and Mr. Fox will be having nightmares Well, I wasn't here when he was on then. I haven't seen him all day. Good evening, Moz. Well, for any latecomers, about 5 minutes or even less than that before this match was due to start, Bedhead wasn't here. Mr. Fox arrives in the lobby stating that he's had internet problems all day, suggesting that his time online would be very short-lived before he gets disconnected. And then the discussion was that the match wasn't going to go ahead because Mr. Fox's internet connection hasn't been reliable today, and it was going to be arranged for another time. And since the time has arrived, and eventually deciding to go ahead and try and get the match played, there's been no internet problems at all. Good evening, Linus. Welcome aboard. With the easy safety has got Mr. Fox tied up, and I'm knocking all my bottles of water over here trying to get a drink. Well, this is again all about just getting some sort of hit and just hoping to get it safe, and that will do. Now the bank has been called, but it's the wrong side, so the cue ball's going to have to move out to make some sort of cut in the 3. He's got that, and he's got the cut, but he's got no shot in the 4. So once again, pot in the 3 is going to be well, there is an angle that he can come around off that top rail, side rail, and try and get the split. He has an angle to do that. Well, not at that pace, but he's trying to get in behind it, because it does go into the middle, but that is a tight angle to make that cut, and this has to be pure. Well, he's in England, and that was always going to be asking a bit too much to get that flush. Nothing easy left here. The 4 does go past the 5. It's tight. It cuts into the middle. It's tough to read, and it goes and around the table for a shot in the 5. Now he's got to put this away, and in all honesty, there shouldn't be any issue here. It's all about getting good in the 7. That's the one that matters, because the rest should all fall into place. Well, he dropped a clanger when he had the rack at his mercy previously, potting the 10 and scratching. But off we go. He's on the board. Trails by 1. Well, to be honest with you, anybody living down south, in any reasonable sized town, won't have an internet connection problem. I mean, most of those people down south are on fibre now. I mean, and on the rare occasion I ever get disconnected on my BT connection, it's going to be late at night, because that's when they do updates and stuff, and you at some point during the night you're sometimes going to lose your connection. That's to be expected. They're going to do it when it's when the internet's at its quietest time. So, and that's on a very rare occasion that happens. It used to happen more often when I was up late at night, back in the day, but very rarely now. Occasionally I can see that the light on my hub is changing when an update is happening, but there is not many occasions I can count where I'm getting disconnected on any sort of regular basis. But as I say, if that was me and that was happening all day, the first thing I'd be doing is on the phone to BT and asking them what they're going to do about it. Yeah, of course they're going to do that. Yeah, they're not going to do anything in the middle of the day unless it's some sort of major emergency. Well, Mr. Fox has done it again. He's letting that cue ball run far too much for no reason whatsoever, and he's found a hole again, and it's another gift. 2 gifts so far by Mr. Fox, and those 2 gifts have given Bedhead that 2-rack lead, and he's shooting himself right in the foot here early on in the match. No, they won't do that. BT won't do that. I mean, I mean, at any time I've had a problem, I've never had the customer service is pretty good. I've got no complaints. I've been with them for goodness knows how many years now. I certainly can't complain about that. Well, Mr. Fox is definitely going to have to tighten up his weight on this cue ball, because he's letting it run far too loose needlessly to get on the crucial ball, and in the 2 occasions it's happened, he's just let it run into a hole. It's found a hole in the table, and these are just careless things that are happening. But as long as it happens early on and he cuts it out, he can certainly get back into it. Oh, I'm not getting involved. That's up to them to do it, or a moderator. If there's any moderators here, I'm not getting involved. I thought Miasma was here earlier on. He gone to bed. Alright, good. Anyway, I think the guy's asking why people have got more power in the queues, but he's a gratis player with just a house queue, that's why. Well, the PM didn't work. Well, I'm still waiting for somebody in one of these streams to attempt a jump shot. And nobody's done it yet. Nobody's been brave enough to have a go. But anyway, Mr. Fox didn't get the kick. Bedhead has ball in hand, and he can widen the gap even further here. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't be trying it when you reach the final. I'd be trying it in a practice room just to see what the sort of range is, because you never know. There will be the occasion, and it might be a make or break shot, that you might have to resort to trying to jump, and you might just that one time nail it at a crucial point in the match. But nobody's done it, as I say. Meanwhile, Bedhead is making steady progress here in this rack. Now he can just draw back up the table if he wants, I think, from even with the angle he's got here to somewhere up in the middle of the table. And he should have plenty of room to get onto this 9. Is he going to try and trickle it through, or is he going to run off the rail? No, he's going to just run it through. Well, if he gets on this 10, he's going to have to cut it back though. He's fallen behind the 10 on the low side, but it is a mini crisis for Mr. Fox, and it has to be dealt with fairly soon if he's given the opportunity. Needs to cut out the unforced errors though. There's 2 racks on the board for Bedhead that in all honesty shouldn't be there. They should be in Mr. Fox's scorecard, but he's given them away. Meanwhile, Bedhead's broke off. We've lost the 3 and the 8, and he's got a shot in the 1. He can pot the 2, and it's well worth the risk in trying to draw into that 4 and 7, although the 4 and 7 may well be just set as a combo. Not quite, so he can play the breakout shot, bearing in mind it's the only way of getting the 4 out. I don't know if he can do that now though, because he can't see the 2, so it's a lifeline for Mr. Fox. Obviously a strong chance of 2 going in, and he's managed to get it, but of course now He's got no shot at all. I don't think there's any of that 4 ball sticking out. But he's now called the 7. But as we've seen, it's heading towards the jaw, that 7 ball. But look at where the cue ball's finished. How about that for a nice bit of luck? And that is far too close to pick a pot angle on it. It's so difficult. It was always going to end up going to the rail before the pocket. Well, there's no problem other than dropping on the 6 and getting out for the 7 and up for the 7. The 4's off the rail. Sorry, the 6 is off the rail, not the 4. Well, now what does he do if he plays the draw off the 6 and he gets too much juice into this? He'll scratch in the right middle pocket. There's strong odds of that happening. If he goes forward and goes around, he doesn't need to go right round. He's playing the draw, but he doesn't want to get too much fizz into this. Well, it's heading over there, but he's okay. The pace was right in that shot. If he had more into it, it would have probably gone in. And it's looking bleak at the moment for Mr. Fox. It's odds on for 5-1. In this situation, you've just got to try to deal with it in whatever way you can. First of all, playing sensible shots. Secondly, cutting out the unforced errors. And thirdly, when you're given a chance, you need to take it. And well, the first chance is not a good one. Bedhead's come up dry. He's got away with it. Push out from Mr. Fox, and well, he's going to be in trouble in a minute. It's another thing that I say about push outs. You've got a minute shot clock, you have to weigh up the shot, and all he's done is left himself open to a burial here. If Bedhead plays this right, Mr. Fox won't have a sight on this 1 ball. You've got to play the push out in such a way that such an easy safety isn't going to be available to your opponent. Well, he's calling the 5 because he's going to bank the 1 up the table. He's looking for the cover. He's just calling the 5 just in case, but it's actually the snooker he's trying to stun, and he's got that all wrong. Aye, it should have been a much better effort than that one. It's a bit of a let off there for Mr. Fox. Well, that little nudge in the 4 ball could well have done him a favour, because the 4 now is wide open past the 10. Oh dear, where's the cue ball going as well? It might as well scratch as well, just to make it doubly disastrous, because everything's going wrong here. Well, just toss them from the room, Miasma. You can right click a player and just toss them without kicking them. If he gets tossed out the room, he might well get the idea that he's in a tournament room, and obviously he's a new player or a new arrival that probably won't be here again, seeing as he's still gratis. He'll probably disappear and you'll never see him again. Yeah, it's just distracting. Although, having said that, there's nothing to stop both players right clicking the player's name and just muting them. So that was always an option that was available to both players. If somebody's chatting, maybe English isn't their first language and whatever, you just right click them, mute them, and they can talk all they want. You won't see the chat. But meanwhile, there is an important issue here, but not from this side of the table. Fantastic Mr. Fox is in no position to get anywhere good on this 4, and he's got himself in further trouble, and he's not set. I think he has to draw off this and bang it to have any chance of making some sort of combo, but is never on. How's that look? He's alright, but the outcome of this exchange in the next few shots has got to be that Mr. Fox wins this rack, or it's going to be a bit of a bloodbath. It's well, Bedhead's played a weak one, because I think and lo and behold, Mr. Fox is disconnected. Right, well, the situation now is he's got 10 minutes to get back in the room, I believe. I don't think it's let's have a look. Let's go to the event page. What does it say? Blah 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 blah. Where the hell does it tell you? Match timeout 10 minutes. Now that is for the start of the match, and I believe a disconnection. I'm assuming that's the case. So we wait and see if he's going to get back. Now, I'm not insinuating anything, but he could have looked at the score, saw it was 5-1 and decided to go to bed. Because Bedhead is on this cut for the 4 and needs to try and get the cue ball out though and avoid obstacles. But is he going to get that chance? Are we going to get there? No, it's Mr. Fox is already Mr. Fox has already played. I'm sure it was Bedhead that was coming to the table, but obviously there's a bit of delay of what Bedhead's seeing to what we're seeing and what each individual is seeing. But on my screen it still shows Mr. Fox, but I was sure that he'd played his shot and Bedhead could see the 4. I think that's what I said in commentary, unless I got my players mixed up again. We'll soon find out, provided Mr. Fox can get back in time. Whether or not he will remains to be seen. Did he? Oh, maybe it's me getting tired again. Well, if you get a standard disconnect, then all you do is just reset your router if you need to, and then just once it's made the connection straight back into VP4. It's normally a lot quicker than this. Well, he managed to last 45 minutes before getting disconnected. Hang on a minute. Gosh. Hit the wrong bloody button again. Hang on. That's the one I want. That's not convincing. He hasn't arrived in the room yet, so I don't think he's really here. I think the other problem is sometimes it takes a minute or two for the VP server to realise that he's gone, and that's part of the problem. If he's trying to rejoin the lobby, he's probably getting what's that message that comes up sometimes when you try and now it's timed out, so that's not going to be reset at this time of night. Yeah, socket error. Well, as it stands at the moment, Bedhead has a 5 racks to 1 lead. Whether this is going to be resolved one way or another, or whether Mr. Fox decides just to let the forfeit go, and whether they agree to play on and all of that stuff, that remains to be seen. But it sure isn't going to go ahead tonight, and with that it is over for the time being. And what we'll do is we'll look at the bracket and give a quick reminder to anybody still watching that tomorrow night's big game is going to start at 9 PM 9 PM British Standard Time, or sorry, British Summer Time. Mr. Bill from the USA, Albinario from Sweden. What else is there? Was there something else? Oh, aye, the other one. Oh, in fact, there's two more. There's the one that was arranged earlier today or tonight between Mooncake and Sergaresh. That's a few days away, and which I should be able to get because it's 7 o'clock in the evening. And the other one is Spectre Dawn in a couple of days' time, and that is at 3 PM British Summer Time between Spectre Dawn and Shaft Tracks, and I should be able to get that as well. So Sky Bitter's there, he got through earlier on, and Hazard is set to play Party Marty, still to arrange the time. But that is it for the night, folks. It's been short, it's been disappointing for a couple of reasons. Disappointing because Mr. Fox thought he had problems and eventually had a problem. Bedhead seems keen to play on from what he said in the chat there, but he's going to be one way or another 5-1 in front, and already it's a long haul back for Mr. Fox. Yes guys, thank you for your company, thank you for staying up. Apologies and sorry that we didn't really see a match, and until tomorrow, if you can join us tomorrow night, I'll be there for that one between Albinario and Mr. Bill, and I hope you can join us too. So until then, take care, stay safe, keep your distance, and I'll bid you good night.